Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It is our weekend program, Saturday Sports Special to be exact. And welcome to the first program for the month of February. Wow. It's very interesting indeed in that started off with a bang in terms of the year. We into month number two. Right away, let me say good afternoon to my co-host, Rudian Silvan in a cold Toronto. Good afternoon to you, Rudian.
Good afternoon, sir, and to the listeners, good afternoon and welcome on with us. Yes, it is cold. The sun is shining, but the sun is a trick. Don't think it's warm outside. It's just a trick. It is cold, but certainly there's few snow on the ground. But Toronto is a cold area. Certainly
I remember, I remember folks used to say how it could be sunny and it's sunny
sunny and
one side,
cold
but it's cold.
and
Yeah,
cold. Yeah,
you know what?
it's sunny and cold.
What? Yeah,
and
sunny and
and,
cold.
and it can have catch many people in the past years who don't know,
Yeah,
especially if there is no snow on the ground and they see the sun. They decide, yes, it's a nice day, and they go outside. They fly back in. Suddenly,
absolutely. Yep. Well,
surely. But just before we start, Michael, I just want to send our condolences to the plane crash of these figure skaters. They are athletes, and we do definitely look out and
yeah,
speak about athletes, and it certainly is something
yes,
that hit the heart,
yeah,
very very deeply. So condolences to the family and to Team USA for losing so many young figure skaters.
yeah.
Too
Certainly.
too young,
Um,
man. Certainly too young.
heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
just before coming on to the program, in fact, I was reading an article where there was this wife who texted her husband to say we are landing in a few minutes, and he was on his way to the airport to pick her up, and the next thing he knew was um, you know
Yeah.
heart, heartbroken, lots of heartbroken stories, and then
It is
last evening we also had a plane crash in
plane crashing
Philadelphia.
in Philadelphia. I
Yeah,
mean,
lots of lives again.
lots of lives because the plane crash was only two people in the plane, based on the report out there, but it's just the fatality that's on the ground.
Yeah,
Because it went in a community, right? So it's like so much happening now. We don't know. It's just when things happen, it happen, right? So
hmm
it's some things is on.
yep,
Yeah, it's sad, but it's
yes.
good to see you.
So
Certainly.
yeah,
I know you're
well, yes,
away, and I know
good to see.
it's busy
Well,
for
I'm here.
you, but you still make time to
Yeah,
come on here and for us to talk
yeah,
about sports. In spite of our busy schedule, it's very
yeah,
important and to engage with the people and engage, especially for Grenada, knowing what's happening, listening to the coaches and the administration, letting us know what is happening, and just forwarding the information to the people, and then giving our own opinion sometime.
yeah.
Yeah,
I want to thank you also for sticking around and at least sharing your insights as much as possible
yeah,
in various sporting disciplines. Um,
yeah,
we have our special guest this afternoon will be Mr. Paul Mc Intyre, who should be joining us momentarily. I
yeah.
just before coming on, I spoke to him and he's getting himself organized. He just came from church and giving him a few minutes to get himself organized. Hopefully, he doesn't have any problems getting back on, but that sometimes that do happen. But
It
he,
happens. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, First of all, good afternoon to you, Gordon. Beautiful Saturday evening to all ladies and gentlemen of
Yes,
the Sporting Grand Jury. What's your year today? Beautiful
yes.
day, probably.
It's beautiful day. Yeah,
Rudy is saying it's a
yeah.
beautiful day. I
It's
hope
beautiful outside.
and said, blessed, grand, glorious day, Kingman. Thank you very much.
Yes, Nigel. Good to see you, man. I
Okay.
know he's about to open his season soon.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
should give us an update on that. And I
yeah.
think he's going to Winnipeg. I think he's maybe going to Winnipeg to open his season. So just give us an
Yeah,
update on
yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah,
So, so we should be talking basketball this weekend, and hopefully next weekend and thereafter, we'll be inundated with a lot of track and field, and
yeah, yeah.
but we'll have other sports. But we getting into the. In fact, we have seen before we introduced the topic there, we have seen some of our athletes, for example,
Athletes, yes, yes.
wonderful performances in the indoor, especially in the field events.
Yeah, yeah.
They do
No,
pretty well.
certainly, certainly.
You
They're
know,
doing very well, yeah. And my athlete and I, she opened her season last night. 13 meters. We tried to go from about 10 meter stride. We didn't do full approach just to kind of get a feel of it. And it was good. There's a little rusty, little things need to be fixed, but it was a good. At least we know, So certainly it was a good open season for us. So hopefully I think we're on the road next week. Next week I might be away,
Mhm.
but live with you maybe at a track meeting,
Well,
Windsor.
yes,
But I'll be on with you. The timing is okay.
good.
Um, yeah, the timing will be fine because she's competing at 3:30, and then by the time we done, we should be done. So yeah, so it should be
Right.
good.
Well, and next weekend is sort of thing because
Is
next
it
weekend
crazy
is
because it's Super Bowl
Super Bowl,
weekend? So
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
I sort of
and
maybe
you're gonna be
haven't
busy.
seen,
You're gonna be
yeah,
busy. Yeah,
that sort of thing
you're gonna be
close
busy. Yeah,
I haven't seen
let's
my
see how
team
it goes.
as yet
Yeah,
for that weekend, so we'll play it by
we'll walk
ear.
it in. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that because it's Super Bowl weekend and lots happening here
New
in
Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah, yeah, lots happening. In fact, in
Yeah,
the next few days,
yeah,
in fact, even in the hotel I am in, for the last 2 days, a lot of activities taking place in terms of people coming in.
yeah, yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of folks with logistics and all these sort of things. Um, you know, uh, yeah. So on today's discussion, we'll be talking specifically on the state of basketball in Grenada. Rudian, that over the past few programs, and even towards the end of last year, there was a concern about the state of basketball, right? And the we know last weekend, as a matter of fact, while we were on the program, uh, Grenada
Yeah.
team was actually playing in a tournament in Suriname, right? It was through a tournament, Grenada,
I,
Suriname, and Guyana,
and
right?
Guyana, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Grenada lost all their two
Two
games.
games. So I was watching the beginning of when they were playing Suriname.
Yes,
I didn't get to finish watching, so I didn't know
and
what the end
and I
result was.
think the consensus from most folks who look, watch at the live and all these sort of things, and when I look at comments and things, and I saw some of, I didn't see the entire game, but the bits and pieces that I looked at, because while we were on the program, the link was sent to me, and I actually was, viewing in and between.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it was a lackluster performance from that Grenada team. And it begs the question in terms of the preparation of the team and what has gone into, you know, preparing a team for a tournament, a regional, well, even though it was just among Suriname and Guyana. Whether or not it was just an invitation and we decided to accept the invitation and participate, whether or not we really had a team in training. But it also begs the question of what is actually happening in basketball. Because
Yeah.
once upon a time, Grenada was
Yeah.
the top team in the OECS and among probably some of the top teams in the region in terms of regional basketball, right? Once upon a time, um, other sporting disciplines used to blame basketball for the state of their sports, right? Yeah, they used to actually blame, I'm telling you, blame basketball, right? And it appears now that I don't know what is happening, but we would
Bas-
have thought that
basketball is
basketball,
basketball is blaming all the other sports now.
well, not only that, there was a momentum, right? In terms of from television, the NBA, for example, right?
Yeah.
And then all of that. But Mr. Paul McIntyre, who has been involved in basketball for so many years as a player, then as a administrator, a coach, all these sort of things, he probably will give us a sort of insight into what is actually happening in basketball in Grenada. By the way, we are starting, let's say, 15 minutes, so we'll add another 15 minutes because we want to get as much in as possible. And I know, Rudy, and I'm certain that basketball was big in St. Patrick, for example.
Oh,
As
it's
a matter of
huge.
fact,
It's huge. You don't tell me.
the late Jericho
Yeah,
Greenwich used to
yeah,
take myself and Fupi to a tournament in Sotels
yeah,
almost
yeah,
every night. I remember
yeah.
some years
Oh, yeah.
ago, right? More than 10 tours because Jericho died more than 10
Listen,
years. Yeah. And
it was
so
certainly
there was
a
basketball
big,
in Guelph,
yeah,
there
yeah.
was basketball in
In
Sotels,
Grenville Car Park,
there
it
was
was Grenville Car
basketball in
Park. Yep,
Grenville, basketball on the Carnage,
and the
basketball in
Carnage. Yep,
Grandad. I mean,
yep. There's
so
basketball everywhere. Yeah,
basketball all over, right? Basketball used to be it. And apart from that, basketball on the street. So the guys used to take the hoops, put it on the post, and play
yep.
basketball, right? So let me introduce Mr. Paul McIntyre. Mr. McIntyre, good afternoon to you, and welcome to our program. In fact, it is Mr. McIntyre's first time on the program, and I want to welcome you, Mr. McIntyre.
Well, I want to take the opportunity to say thank you. And I also want to say um, welcome to all the viewers on your program. I've been looking at you through Kyron Batiste, and Kyron has been a big follower of you, and he updates me on everything that happens with your program. So thanks again for that wonderful opportunity so that we can discuss Grenada basketball.
Yes. Thanks very much, Paul. And as as I was saying just before you came on, we'll be talking about the state of basketball. But before that, I want you to give our viewers an opportunity to you know, get to know a little more about Mr. McIntyre in terms of your background, especially as it relates to basketball, because your time in basketball would have been around the time of the Cyril Cox and the Tigges Bernard and all these sort of guys, right? Uh, Playing basketball, your involvement in basketball, even at the administrative level and coaching level.
Yes, well, I started to play basketball pretty young, old. Put it that way, from 1979, I started basketball. Um, when my grandmother passed away, and we moved back to Grandans with our mom, and there I met people like Michael Crampy Macmillan. I don't know, a lot of people know who he is, and Cyril Cox. Um, what's his name again? Joseph. That is Stevie Joseph and a number of Buckram and all of these guys in Grand Dance, Andre Theodore. We all started basketball down here. I had a little team called Black Five. We call Black Five. They were the young players, just young. Maya, Killam, and all that. Then back and all these guys. And then I moved from that to becoming an administrator with Paul Roberts and running basketball in the South. At one time, basketball in the South was the biggest. We used to call the mecca of basketball was in the South of the island. That's Grand Dance. And we moved from that to where we had the intervention into Grenada. And there were lots of medical, not medical, but soldiers living in where we call the Radisson today. And they used to come over on the court. And our basketball evolved from simple basketball to real tough basketball. As today, we are the best defensive region in basketball on the island. And then I moved as I was assistant general secretary to Grenada Basketball Association. I was president for a very short stint. I was general secretary for two periods. I was a national coach for 3 years, and I have been coaching basketball for 41 years on the island of Grenada. So I am well aware of what is happening with basketball, where basketball is at. We don't like it. None of us like where basketball is at right now. And you're right when you mentioned earlier on, basketball was the fastest growing sport on the island of Grenada. To me, in the entire Caribbean, it was influenced by the NBA and colleges of the United States. And when Cyril Cox, who was our first recipient to a scholarship, left the island, it boosted the morals of all of our young athletes wanting to do the same thing. So I know and I understand. I myself, even when I was the general secretary in basketball in Grenada, I put together a complete new design for basketball development on the island. When I resigned as general secretary, I handed it over to the new executive. And to be honest, they did not one thing, not one and a half or anything within that plan. That plan is 28 years old. 28 years old. They have done nothing out of that plan to enhance basketball. One of the crucial aspects that myself, when Paul Roberts was president of Grenada Basketball Association, we created the constitution in 2009. We did the first constitution for Grenada Basketball Association. And up to today, not one person, not one executive has seen the importance to amend their constitution to fit the evolving aspects of basketball in Grenada and in the world. So we saw laziness practiced from day one. Two, we had a program that we started with Vida Bruno when she was the permanent secretary for sports on Island Grenada. We got a proposal, that same plan. One of it included the involvement of early basketball development in the primary schools. The program was called Seek and Develop. And Seek and Develop was designed to invite young players in the primary schools to play basketball. Look at them. You can pick talent at a very early age. And as we identify the talent, what we will do with the talent is harness it, both standpoint. Yes, from a sports standpoint and academically. And we monitor that student or group of students right through to a scholarship desk. This was the plan for basketball on the island. That was not adhered to. Nobody attempted to do that. Secondly, we did about women basketball. Now, I saw a game that was brought live on TV a week ago. Women playing basketball. I think it was the secondary school basketball championship. I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed that I had to cut off the television. I mean, my phone, because I couldn't believe. And anyone in Grenada, in their right head, should have put that on Facebook or social media for the world to look at. That was a laughing stock. But I looked at the men also, and we saw over the many years the deterioration of basketball on island because there are no systems in place except, in the days of German Nigel Mackey. In spite Naka is not a nice guy, but he was he himself had a small program running in St. John's. We had myself, we had the guys from Grenville. We had a number of different areas where we competed among ourselves and we wanted our athletes to be the best. So we went out and we worked with our athletes day in and day out to make sure that the competition is really fierce. And I mean, we used to battle hard because we wanted to make sure we had the best. But today, I don't know what's happening in basketball. Really and truly, basketball is dead. We had an executive for 8 years or more. Now it's about 10 years. And all we saw inside of basketball for that period is a downward trod for the development of the sport. I have seen nothing. We just, maybe 2 years or a year ago, we elected an executive who shuffled the pack. We want to call it the shuffling of the pack. And who was the technical director, became president, who was the president, become technical director, and vice versa. And so, help my God, I've never seen it has moved from basketball development to the boys' club. I have my little personal club, and I'm doing what I want because it's the boys. We drink tea, we drink beers. whatever.
But Paul, despite all that you say, do you think there is hope? I mean, I'm certain that in spite of all of that, you're still seeing talent about the place and things like that, and you're hoping that there is some level of resuscitation or revival of the sport in Grenada.
As long as there is life, there is hope. I always believe in that. And yes, there is hope. I don't know if you remember, very recently, Kyron, the Kellan Baptiste Foundation, has actually
Yeah,
built a foundation and has focused a lot on basketball and football. And we have two athletes now in the United States, Pinola College. He is our pioneer, who is Nelson Bernard, and that guy has done so well and is still doing so well that Pinola College said to us, "Listen, we are going to take at least two athletes every year from you." Yep, we held a a clinic in Grenada, a 3 day clinic in Grenada. We brought in Gary and Pinola College. We had a one guy from Canada, Will, and we brought them in, and they did a clinic for 3 days. I sat with the sports coordinator, and I said, "Listen, what we want to do. We want to keep these 25 young men, young, talented young men. We want to keep them together for the rest of the year." And oh, yes, brilliant idea. Nothing happened. All I asked for, give us some basketballs and give us a transportation that we would be able to take the basketballers, these 25 young, talented young men. I mean, guys 6'7", 6'8", and young. We said, let's take them around the island. The government of Grenada, with Minister Williams and Prime Minister Mitchell, two of them has put and said, listen, we are going to fix all the courts in Grenada, all the outdoor courts. And we want you all to utilize it. So we use it as a good opportunity to actually build the momentum, build the interest back in basketball. I'm still waiting for the support. I was surprised the other day when I heard one of the players called me and said, "Coach, going to are you going to coach the national team?" I said, "National team for what?" He said, "There is a competition in Suriname, and we want to know if you're going to be there." I said, "Well, nobody invited me. That's the first thing." And I didn't know about it. Then I investigated it. While I was walking from my office, I saw Justin Hazard, who was I
or
think
who
he's a
is
treasurer. Yeah, he's an executive member of
or
the
vice
council
president?
or something of that nature. And I said, "Justin, I'm hearing something. What is this about?" He said, "Oh, yeah, Pablo, we just came from a meeting. I am not in support of it, but I said, "Justin, if you're not supporting this," and when I listened to the whole story, I said, "Justin, that doesn't make sense. That is going to belittle the quality, the standards of basketball in Grenada in the eyes of the world. You cannot send a team. Who in this world? The United States of America sends a team to the Olympics. You see how much months, and these are well-trained athletes. Well-trained athletes. They take months in training. You want to send to represent Grenada? 2 weeks? 2 weeks? And we have not had a national championship in 8 years? Come on.
Or club
Tell me,
championships, club champion,
we
yeah.
have not had a local national championship in 8 years. 8 years now we have not had.
So,
What we've
but,
been having is on the 23 championship. And basketball, the association feel they're comfortable with that. Yeah.
but listen, Paul. So when the executive was, well, you said re-elected or reshuffled, whatever you want to call it. What do you think that that's enough time from then to now for them to get basketball back, transform basketball back to what it was in terms of the grassroots programs and all of that, based on all the plans and pronouncements that were made at the time?
Well, to be honest, yes. Something should have been on the ground. Even though, let me just put it this way, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. We know that basketball is not growing as fast as we would like to see it. And we understand the reason. The reason is that we do not have basketball at an early age, or early stage in life. So our primary school approach would have been the best approach, where we go and they create a pilot project. That's what I said to them. I said, select 8 schools on the island. Get from each school, get that and run training for a period of time, and then have competition among the 8 schools. We would identify it. And then also work with the secondary schools. Because, I mean, Bascom, you saw, I am sure you saw the live with all of the games, GBSS and PBC.
Some.
You saw that. You saw
Game
the
1, Game 2.
standards.
Yes.
And it look, the year before, my niece has 2 daughters playing netball, basketball for St. Joseph Convent. And she sent me feeling very proud of her daughters is playing, net basketball. And then when I was sitting home and I saw the message came in and I said, I wonder what is that? So I popped and I looked at it. I said, oh my shit, what fight is that? I thought it was a fight. I thought there was a brawl breakout on the court. And then when I look at it carefully, I called Evelyn and I said, Evelyn, what's happening down there? Who's fighting? She said, Uncle, it's not a fight. The girls are playing basketball. Man, I got so sick. I got so sick. I even had to tell them, listen, your uncle is the best or one of the best coaches on island. And you're all going where there is no coaching. I mean, that sounds right. I mean, that doesn't make sense. But all in all, on a very serious note, Bascom, I have a program that I would like, and I would be meeting with the Minister of Sport, and I will be discussing with the Minister of Sport a plan for survival, and a plan for resuscitation. We have a plan. I'm going to meet with the minister to discuss it, and so that we can help build back basketball. I'm sure at the end of that 1 year, because we are going to give it a 1 year. And the reason for 1 year is because we want to get it to the point where the secondary school basketball program or school program would come back again, because we just ended, right? So we give it 1 year so that we'd have secondary school basketball, even though it means 8 schools or 10 schools to participate as a pilot project. We're going to work it, get the standards and the quality of basketball up so that people can say, hey, we see something is happening. Then we're going to develop the grassroots, where we're going to go around. We are going to be looking for talent, as we are doing right now. I have 3 players now preparing for scholarship to Pinola. I have 3, and I'm working with them, but I want to do it in a holistic approach. Myself and Kyron has put together a budget and has put together a plan to ensure basketball rebound on the island. And we're looking for all the support. We're not asking for millions. We're not asking for, anything that goes out of the pocket. All we're asking for is if people can send us some basketballs, some cones that we can now bring in every school or every parish. We can give them, we can coach, because I can train coaches. I can train the coaches, teach them the fundamentals of basketball and teach them how I do it. They may make the adjustments, as they go along, because individuals are different, But I would help them to understand what coaching is. I have coached in my 40-something years thousands of players on the island, and they can tell you. You watch a player who pass on the Paul Mc Intyre kind style of basketball, and you see something outstanding, something different, something that is meaningful for basketball. Yeah.
All right, let me get some comments here. Kyron Batiste is saying, good afternoon, Kyron. He's saying, basketball needs a reset in Grenada. The reality is the incumbent executive has had more than enough time to reverse and transform the basketball landscape in Grenada. after a while, the same conversations over and over just uh, get frustrating. And so Gibbs is saying, Michael Bascom, fact check information coming from your guest. It had national championships, both seniors and juniors, within the 8 years. He said it never had. Paul, you want to clarify that?
Well, I said yes. Karen is quite right with what he's saying. We have the evidence. We have the facts. They have nothing. Nothing has been happening for basketball. I'll tell you the honest truth. I am not here to sugarcoat anything. Uh, we have a president in the name of Kester Elcock who is all about his club tornadoes. They enhance, that's all he focused on. And secondly, he focused on 3-on-3 basketball. That is going nowhere because we have not even seen it spread through the islands, up throughout the island of Grenada. So
But don't you think there's a future for 3-on-3?
there might be,
Mm-hmm.
but you see, let me just explain. In coaching basketball, there are levels what you call the one-on-one operation. Then you play 2-on-2 basketball. Then you play 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and then you go into the 5-on-5. Right? So 3-on-3 is just an aspect, but we should be focusing on making basketball. Are we going to get a scholarship for a 3-on-3 team? Yeah, are we going to do that? No. I just saw government gave. I don't know where they got that because I saw a note saying government has purchased ticket in the sum of $43,000 to go to Suriname. Good. And if we, and this is one of the part of the plan that I had 28 years ago, I gave them 28 years ago, a fundraising committee. And I gave them ideas how to raise funds. So it's not just saying let's put together a fundraising. I remember when they were going to the qualifier in the same Suriname, we met with Jerry Sensei, who was then president. And I said, Jerry, German, and you know the kind of person German is. German called me and said, Pablo, we going into that meeting to mash it up. Because them fellas and them making no sense. When I got there and I saw Jerry is my good friend. As I said, German, no, we wouldn't do that. Let us help them. We threw out ideas and we said to Jerry said, excellent, Pablo. We are going to put together a fundraising committee. I called my name. I said, Reese Sam, because Reese, I spoke to Reese. I said, Reese, let's help basketball. She said, oh, yes, Pablo, I'm ready. I called a few names. Then he said to me, oh, we put Justin Hazard as the chairperson of this. Every month from that day, I called Jerry. I said, Jerry, what's the status? I just said, oh, Justin, and he giving me all sorts of excuses. Until the last month, they invited me to come to coach basketball defense because they, as I said earlier on, I'm one of the better defensive coach on island. They asked me to come and coach the national team defense. I said, fine, but you paid me $10,000 to do this. This is national. I ain't going, I'm doing it free for my community. Listen, 40 years of just free. Yeah, I said $10,000. And they tell me, I only hear, oh, we have changed plans. That's what they said.
But Paul, you think saying $10,000 was for them to refuse? Because I don't think anyone is coaching for $10,000 in Grenada. That would have been a high one. But
You think so?
yeah, well, in the context, no.
Ask them how much they give Knuckle Joseph.
Gibbs is saying, as the best coach or one of the best coach on island, what have you done during your tenure as president of the GNBA? Why did you desert the basketball executive, I assume, and so vocal now? Any reason you can give it why? Well, it appears that you were president of the Grenada National Basketball Association for a period of time, and the viewer is asking why you left basketball and being so vocal now.
Right. I very simple.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in confusions.
Mm-hmm.
I think when a team is together, it's a team. There's no I in team. Yes. They could ask the same Naka Joseph. When I was my first tenure as the general secretary, Naka was impressed, and he said to me, we met in Trinidad in in one of the basketball regional basketball seminar, and he said to me, "Pablo, you did a good job, knockout." All right, and then we had, but before that period, when I resigned as president, it was a battle. They didn't want me as president, and you know the politics. You can't. I'm detailing that. There was some politics going on with Naka and his Guav and Senator, what's his name again? My God,
Gawi.
Gawi. All of them. They had the thing. Can you imagine? You move a no confidence against a president after 3 weeks in office. 3 weeks in office. You move no confidence. And my boss at that time was Michelle Hercules. I said, Michelle, you see what's going on? She said, Pablo, let me tell you something. Resign from that stupidness. Let we work and make we money. You understand? And I said, Michelle, that's the best advice I ever get in my life. I taken it. I just resigned without even saying a word. So, Dwight, if you wanted to know why, it's because of the politics, the internal
No, no.
politics.
By the way, the Dwight is not the Gibbs is not Dwight. Not Dwight.
Oh, okay.
That was actually Shedder. Yeah,
Oh,
you know
shit
Shedder.
up Gibbs. Right? No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
he's one of Elcock's
yeah.
stooges, so we expect that kind of thing. But that's fine. I
Let
still
me avoid the name.
would
Let me
explain
avoid
it.
the name
Yeah.
calling. Yeah, yeah. But
But in all in
thanks
all,
thanks for the clarity. So you're 3 weeks into your tenure as president. There was things that were not going right for you and no confidence motion, and you gave it up, right? Fair enough. Um, that was that. Kyron is saying we are at a crossroad in sports development on the island and would
I'm
love
back
to
as
help.
General Secretary.
Yeah, would love to help reset our approach to the development of sports in Grenada overall, and in particular basketball. Resetting the basketball climate would involve fixing the fundamentals within our young athletes. There is a serious lack of fundamentals in our secondary school athletes. Well, it is so because, as you indicated, Paul, that we are starting coaching basketball very late, right?
But
Your idea is to start as early as the primary schools,
yeah.
right?
Well, that
Um,
would be the nursery bed for development. So when you start at that age and you get into the primary school and the secondary school, you're better athletes. You see a better competition, that kind of thing. So I am not. That is where we have to go. And that is one
yeah,
of the strong points I'll be speaking with the minister about getting basketball into primary schools.
yeah. Um, so Gibbs, you already he. Cheddar, sorry about that. I'm doing a program, and all you're doing is about investigate, investigate. I can't investigate doing a program, okay? So, yeah. Thanks very much for your comments and things like that. So, but let's forget this, back and forth on that. Let's look at the crisis in basketball. Basketball is in crisis. We have been saying that for quite a while. If you can tell me what is happening in basketball now as we speak, in terms of the development of the sport, then we can have a conversation. Some more comments here. Edmond Phillips says there should be a revamp of the current basketball committee. This is that is in charge of the GNBA at this moment, right? He says, well, Jeremy Phillips is saying basketball in Grenada, new management, and people with vision and basketball fundamental to get it active again. So there's consensus that um, you need something to revive basketball in Grenada. Pablo, I know you are a good coach. Never played for you, but I see the quality of players that came out from your camp. We have Grenadians overseas rather, who can contribute uplifting our basketball. We need to get in contact with some of them. So, Paul, I mean, and that's before Rudian comes on because I know Rudian will want to talk a bit about the the grassroots and some of the community basketball programs that we know of. Because, as I told you, I can recall the days of going to different parts of the country for basketball. With late Jericho, I mean, I used to be just following Jericho. As you know, Jericho was involved in basketball. So whether it's Hotels, Victoria, Wharf, or even in Grenville, right? The car park, in fact, is lots of basketball. You know, basketball in Hotels used to be big, basketball and netball at the time. And we used to have a lot of basketball being played. And that is in addition to those in golf, as you said, the carnage, Grandance in particular. And then of lately, we had River Road, all these sort of things. I mean, lots of basketball, so much teams. And I mean, what has gone wrong then, even though some of the people involved in the administration of the sport came from that sort of period, came from that period. I'm certain it should be nostalgic for them to know, well, hey, 10, 15 years ago, I was part of that process. Why can't we get basketball back again? What is keeping them from doing that? What is the hold up? Um, Paul, you have said so much in terms of your ideas, some of the plans and programs you have discussed with them and things like that. You said how much years now? What 28 years? 28 years ago. Certainly, you have to be refined. You have to refine it because so much has happened since then. But Rudian, you have been listening for quite a while. I'm certain that it brings certainly bringing back a lot of memories to you in terms of basketball, especially in your parish of St. Patrick back then.
Oh, most definitely. Mr. Paul, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Certainly, I hear a lot of frustration from what you're saying, and I do understand. I know Kenra and a whole bunch of the people on here do feel the same frustration in basketball, not only in basketball, in sports in general in Grenada. As we know, and when it comes to government, sport is always on the back burner, hoping that that can change in the near future. But sport is always on the back burner. We had a long talk about it last week with certain things that were signed, and we figure why sports wasn't a part of it.
Mhm.
However, here we are with basketball, and we have seen the deterioration of basketball for quite some time. I grew up, even as young as I was, in the heart of Sotes, basketball was huge. Basketball was a big thing. And I'm seeing all the players and all these guys in them, to go back now and watching some of the photos, some of these guys and then put up now on social media. And I'm saying, man, I remember those days when Sotes hardcourt was like rampart with people watching basketball, and so forth. But certainly, um, the plan that you had 20 years ago cannot be the same. And I know you have revamped your plans. You have a different plan moving forward. But you're certainly right. For any sport to move forward in this time, you have to start with the grassroots. We have seen a lot of it is being lacked in the elementary school. Um, I mean, just switching for a second to the fact that you hear that there wasn't much cricket this year in high school. That's alarming, you know. So to tell you what's happening with sports, is it the people in charge? Is it those who in charge have people over them that they have to go to? So there's a lot that we don't know, and it really would love to have basketball association come in here and give us some light in what's happening. We try with all the sports to get people on, and we just want to get their point of view. We are here speaking based on how we feel or the little that we know from hearsay or they say. Some of it is not fully concrete in terms of what is into the administration, and always good to have them on. It is hard to have them on, but certainly something has to be done. And I would say if it's not working and the people in there is not working, they have to leave. We need to have people in charge. And I did my research. Sometimes it's not that easy as letting someone go. It's not as easy as just saying, well, you're not doing the job, it's time to leave. There is a lot more to it. We on the outside think that way. If something not working, okay, it's time to fire them. This is not Donald Trump kind of way of you're not doing it, we fire you. This is not the concept. There is a lot to it more than that, right? But certainly something has to be done in basketball, and it's sad to see where we're coming from to where we're at now in basketball. And man, basketball could be so expanded in so much different areas, even with the school. And basketball couldn't be even going to a whole year with basketball. And one of the key things that I like now to see what's happening, there is still a lot of work. We haven't seen much of it, is the parish council coming in now, hoping that they will get involved as well and they could start having basketball in the parishes going again like it used to be. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a great thing. And I think that will be a in the old days of my time, and it's long before you. You said 1979. I was just born then. So I mean, you've been doing this for years. I was just born. So certainly, it certainly is something that I like to see. But man, listen, you mentioned. I know you talk about the 3-on-3. But 3-on-3 is a big thing now. It is an Olympic sport now, and so it is certain things that we do have an Olympics association. So all the Olympic sports have to be a part of it. 3-on-3 is something that could be a part of it as well. But that could also even play in high school. There goes another tournament for basketball. There goes another sport for them to continue on with basketball. So there's so much thing that we talk about. Like even go back with football. It's not only the 11-man squad. We could play 3-on-3 football, small goal. A lot of things can be played. It doesn't have to be on the field. It could be on a hard court. So sports can be expanded. Recently, basketball, I speak about volleyball. Volleyball could play on the grass. We could do our own thing on the grass with volleyball. It doesn't always have to be on the beach or on a court. So we have to learn to expand. But certainly, we need people who have the understanding of the sport and not start putting people in a position. A lot of times over the years, a lot of people are in position, and I'm speaking about in Grenada because of either who they know and it's not necessarily what they know. Because some of them just have an education, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the education have the understanding of a particular, an area that they're in. So we need people who have a basketball mindset to be running basketball. People who have a track and field mindset to run track and field. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to run the sport. You don't have to. You could never play basketball, but you have a basketball mindset. You have somebody who have a business mindset to go into business. So those type of things I would like to see, and certainly, if nothing, we haven't seen anything working, so there have to be a change in basketball, in the administration. For those who are there have to be a change, because over the past few years, there might be little stuff happening, but nothing to the extent of where basketball should be and for where we're coming out from with basketball. I mean, I don't know much about the basketball deep as you do. Like I said, I play as younger as myself, but I know of the Grenville hard court, and I know, and I'm telling you what I know. There was what was there, but that's what I know. I didn't even know of the Carnage, but I know of Granance, but I know of Grenville Hardcourt, and Granance and Stutters. That's the only three growing up. And they're talking about like in the 80s. That's what I know, because that's young boy. This is our area. We're always where we at. That's what I know. But knowing now that basketball was in Grenville, it was in Guave, and it was on the Carnage. That is huge for us. That is big. Just time for us to expand on it. And I will stick on what I'm saying. People who don't have the mindset for a particular sporting event, sporting body, should not be running it. That's my take on that.
Well, basketball was, for FYI, basketball was one of the fastest growing sport in Grenada at one point.
Yes.
Right? In fact, basketball was accused of taking most of the young folks away from sports like track and field at one point in time, and football, because all the boys and girls were playing basketball, right? They were just hoops, as they call it, and then it was what they see on television, and I'm talking about even in the post Michael Jordan era and things like that. So all the guys wanted to be a Michael Jordan, right? In fact, that is why all of them started buying the Nike boots, all these things. You ask a kid what he wants, and
Yep.
the first thing
Tell
he
your
says,
Jordans.
a Jordan.
Don't tell your Jordans. Yep.
Why? Because of basketball.
Because of basketball.
It was
because of basketball. Yeah.
because of basketball and things.
Especially in the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
Yeah, it
Even
was.
if they may not be playing basketball, but because of the
They still
influence,
want. Yeah.
right? So, and then there was this momentum as well, so that if my friend is playing basketball, hey, I want to play basketball too, and then in addition to that, if you're not in a team or a club or whatever it is like that, so and you're not in an area where you can go, let's say on the Caranats or Grandlands or these places, you're playing on the street, you're playing in a little village, a little community. When the vehicles come in, you stop, they pass, you start, you resume. That is what it was about. So the thing is, Paul, what has gone wrong over the years that we are seeing folks, I mean, a lot of the kids have now moved away from basketball. I mean, I'm certain if you have a basketball tournament, you do not see the sort of crowds as you used to see before. The sort of interest, the sort of, I mean, there are basketball fans, right? There are basketball fans, but that sort of way where you know the big crowds that you're seeing. I mean, you probably recall in the '80s, Grenada versus what is Antigua OECS Championship,
Yeah.
Tan team. I mean, you know what that was. You
Oh
understand what I'm
yes,
saying?
oh yes,
Yeah.
oh yes.
So what has gone wrong and how? Apart from all that you suggested and things like that, what you see us doing to ensure that basketball is among the top sports. You know, a basketball association can go and sit and discuss um, with sponsors and other
Hmm.
stakeholders and
Hmm.
get that type of support that is needed for to resuscitate this, as I say, the sport in Grenada.
Okay, uh, Michael. Let me put it this way. As I said earlier on, there is a plan that we have to help resuscitate basketball. One of the things when we ran, recently I ran for president of basketball again because, I was, a lot of people encourage me, Pablo, why don't you, when they hear the ideas and so forth, and they work through process. So it's not just an idea, but you see the work through process from stage one, stage two until completion.
Mhm.
He said, Pablo, why don't you get back in basketball? I said, okay, I'll give it another shot. I'll give it another shot. So we pulled a group of people together. We questioned, a lot of questioning and find out what is your interest and so forth. I remember a young lady by the name of Simone. She was approached and she said, Pablo, I would give all the support I can, but I won't take front office because my dad is sick. Her mom and dad is sick and she has to take care of them. And we respect that. But she was ready to give all the support.
That's Simone Ross.
Simone Ross.
Yeah.
So, we were looking at people who show a lot of interest in basketball. She has a son that is very much interested. He is one that will be traveling very soon to England for school and basketball. So that's part of the Kellon Batiste Foundation
Hmm.
initiative. He
Right.
himself and another one is going off later on this year to the Gary. I think I can't remember Gary's name, but Gary's coaching uh, to build his, and that's where Enelson Bernard goes to coach. Goes for coaching in his off season and so forth. So we are doing all of this. We see the plan. So we have to walk through the process. One of the things I indicated in our presentation is that basketball needs to once again be decentralized. Basketball is too centralized in St. George's, and nothing is happening in the country. So we create incentives. We, as the executive, would have create find monies. Work. That's our responsibility. Is to find the resources to help these different leagues. So St. Patrick's have their league, St. John, and all of the parishes, including Carrick and Pitibati, and we empower them to take control of basketball. We create incentives for them. So if this league is doing better than that league, we have the league that's doing bad. But at the same time, we have to award the league that is showing the interest. So you have that continuity. All right. Um, that is one of the areas we had planned for if we had won the election. So you'd have seen basketball very active in St. John's with maybe Naka Joseph and his team up there. We give them all the support they need. And listen, before I go further, I want to give Naka his due. I want to give him his due. He was a disciplinarian as a coach, but he controlled the St. John's Basketball League, and he did an excellent job in organizing competitions and these sorts of things. I want to give him that. Yeah, whenever a fella do something good, because I'm the guy. When you play the fool, I tell you about it, and when you do something excellent, I applaud you and I award you. Yeah, I give Naka that. I give German the same thing. because everybody know how German, when you have a competition on the Carnage, is the most organized competition the whole of Grenada would see. Yep. So they did well. But what our plans are also decentralize basketball. Let Grenville, there is a committee in Grenville, run basketball there. And we would just support them. You understand? We would also do the same thing with schools. We get them to manage the school program, develop coaches in all of the areas, develop referees, because without good refereeing, it can hamper your development in the athletes, right? And I saw that already. So all of these are some of our plans, and these things can still exist. But most importantly, and this is one of the things I'll be discussing with Minister, we need to have at least 3 indoor facilities on Grenada. The question you may ask, why 3?
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's not even a question.
Yeah, why 3 indoor? I am putting 1 indoor that would service St. George's and St. David's. 1 indoor that would service Grenville and St. Patrick's, and 1 that would service St. John's and St. Mark's. That is where you're going to start to see once again the whole rivalry start to build in the development of sports. All right. So you're coming home to play basketball. You're coming to my home to play basketball. But most importantly, guys, we have a tourist destination. And sports tourism is the way to go. It is the way to go now. Grenada is the safest Caribbean island to visit. With no doubt of a mind, Grenada is a safe haven. St. George's University students can tell you. They come out and play basketball. They played last night in Grenada. They went to Laborie and play basketball against the national team. And so they are free, and they can tell you they enjoy coming out and participating in the community. All right? So we know it is and if we can develop the sports tourism, we also is plagued, and this is number 3, we are plagued by climate change. Last night, thank God that God allowed the 3 games to play, and as soon as the game done, rain started to fall. You understand? And we just started a competition last night in the south. I'll take hands off to Tyrone Francis, Maximilian. He just organized a competition. He's supported well by government and some of the private sector, but he is put together, and this is first time in a long time I see 12 teams participating. Grenville came down last night. Unfortunately, they lost the game. I lost my small team game last night, but it was very competitive, and you can see the vibes again. Lots of people come out last night, and people are going to be coming as they hear more about it. You're going to see that. So we know the interest is still there, but we need to have a group that is able to manage, promote, and develop the sports. We don't have it.
Let me ask you a question. You talk about so you talk about
go ahead.
I'm picturing two courts right now, which is the St. Mark's hard court and the St. Patrick's hard court. Can they roof those? Can they cover it and put a roof over them?
They can. Well, I agree. I like that. Technology can teach us. We can do anything with anywhere. You saw what they did in where what do you call that place down there? Where everything is happening now in the Middle East. They take the desert and they make it Greenland, right? We can do anything right now. The courts can be developed, but my plan, and I think I want you to hear me. When we build an indoor facility, it must be able to maintain itself. When government invests in something like that, or we get somebody to donate, like we got our stadium and everything like that, we must build things that is not going to act as a white elephant. Commerce must take place there. put supermarkets, put doctor's office, put different things in the facility, restaurants. So when people come out, it's going to be all around encompassing. But the indoor facilities there, we can host. Now we can host qualifiers of the basketball in confederation. We can do for netball. You can do for any indoor sport. You can now
Yeah.
host because you have
Yeah.
the international standard quality facilities to do so.
Yeah.
And
Well, when
that is
when
what
I
is
heard right, because when I heard the indoor, it makes sense now in terms of you saying it's not
Yeah. Yeah.
basketball per se, but indoor, multi-purpose, multi-sport, I should say,
Multi-purpose. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
basketball, netball, volleyball, and and it means therefore that you can service those areas as you pointed out.
Yeah.
You have a western, you have a eastern, and things like that. Yeah, I understand that thought pattern, right? In terms of it's not just basketball, but other sports will be able to benefit, and you'll be able to use it also to develop other sports in other areas. So, for example, reviving netball and basketball in the St. Patrick and St. Andrews area, for example, bringing back netball even in St. John's and this sort of thing, and as you said, St. David's and things like that. So I understand that point, and I think it should be supported as well instead of having just one facility that everybody will have to come to and things like that. Some points came in while you were speaking that I want to get back to. Sigmund Courtney, good afternoon to you, Sigmund. Sigmund is somebody in Texas, I think. He said grassroots for any sport should start in the community and then it can be moved to the primary schools. Most of the schools do not have the resources and personnel required. Community and business involvement with motivated and competent personnel are keys to getting the grassroots movement for any sport functioning effectively. Well said. Um, Alexandra Velez, this is Elvis. We used to have good productive games going on in the South. I know that and I could concur with that. Yes, the South used to be a haven, Elvis, as a haven for sports, football, netball, volleyball, basketball. Yeah. The blueprint is right here, according to Kyra and Batiste. The GFA is doing lots of grassroots programs. We can take a page from their book. It's not rocket science. I don't know why it's so hard to implement these basketball programs. Yeah. And the thing about it is that they have other sporting disciplines with grassroots programs. So you can probably, and I'm saying in terms of basketball, can look at it, can see what it is that's working that they can implement in basketball, for example, and how it be done, et cetera, et cetera. Because not everything will suit every situation. And get it working. Good afternoon, Mr. Lincoln Walker. Well, you should know Mr. Walker, basketballer, and he was a referee, I think, up to the last. Mr. Walker, thank you. Good day, gentlemen. Just joined. Thank you very much, Mr. Walker. I talk about going to so many basketball games during my time, even as a journalist back in Grenada. And Mr. Walker was one of those referees that used to be there. That time we had so many referees, you know what I mean? And basketball was followed more than even football to an extent at that time because you had so many organized basketball tournaments. Yes, you had the German McKee who will organize his thing from the Carnage. Then you'll have those in Grenada. Then you'll have those in St. Andrews. I'm saying St. Patrick. Then Naka will have his thing up in Guelph, and I think the last thing we had in Guelph would have been, did Wahiti had some basketball tournament or something to that effect. But we had organized tournaments, right? Kyron is saying, oh boy, good point on the sport tourism. Given Enel will be at Indiana, the coach already told me they will be interested in bringing the Indiana State men's basketball team to Grenada to train sometimes. We are just not ready with our facility, a lost opportunity for us. And that's the thing about it. So he will be at Indiana State University. Obviously, they will have an interest for somebody who is in Grenada on their team coming to Grenada, enjoy because he'll be talking about Grenada, he'll be talking about it. But unfortunately, we can't bring them on Grandans or Carnage or or thing like that. So that's where your Indo comes in handy. Clev Deputy, good afternoon to you, Clev. He says sports tourism should be a pillar within our revenue building process. Big stones can help, but not allowed to block or impede advancement. yeah, yeah. We can't. Yeah, the big stones can help, right? So, but we have to get rid of the stones, right? The big stones. Don't allow them to block or impede our progress. Yeah. But the sports tourism thing, and especially with basketball. Last week we were talking about Julian about how the Bahamas and use that
Mhm.
as an opportunity to bring those basketball teams, college teams, even the NBA, the Miami Heat, for example, for their their winter
College football,
recess and all that,
there's a
I
Bahamas,
think they
there's
have
a
got
Bahamas Cup, there's a Bahamas game
Bahamas Bowl,
for
the
college
Bahamas Bowl.
football, the Bahamas
Yeah,
Bowl.
right, Antina.
So
So this is the sort of thinking we have to go to. But as you say, when it comes to basketball, unlike football and probably track and field, we have the facility for those things, the facilities rather. Basketball and netball, because this year, for example, Grenada will be hosting the OECS Invitational Netball Tournament. The ECCB, sorry, I should say, because normally you invite teams like Barbados and then and again, in terms of the facility, if you had a proper indoor facility, you don't have a problem with that. Most times when you have that weather and all these things like that, so the library indoor facility is not at this, is not the of the
It's not the
what
ideal.
I say
It's
of
not the
yeah
ideal.
the ideal for that sort of things, right? You need a proper facility, a proper international facility where we can host, as you say, the basketball, football, volleyball, all these sports. Volleyball has been doing well for the past few months, but they need a proper home, as is the case of netball, etc., etc. Approach government to utilize some of that CBI money in sports, certainly. And that's why we said we are sort of disappointed that that delegation that went to China and China as a big player in international sports, for example. I'm certainly, I would have been talking, I would have come back talking Chinese, if I was part of that delegation. Yeah, because I would have come back talking Chinese. I have been talking
I don't think,
sports
to be
all over.
honest, I don't think, Michael, that anything is lost in that. Um, I just think that we need, as Grenada, to
Mhm,
put something in place, something strong in place for that development. We talk holistic planning,
mhm,
and I just think some of us plan in silos, we're isolated, not thinking about how the linkage can take place and so forth. But I don't think all is lost. I
mhm,
think if we can, it can be a PPP where private public
mhm.
um, investment. But as I said earlier on, I don't want and I would not recommend us building indoor facilities on island by an isolated indoor facility. I would include amenities, as I said earlier, like a
Yeah,
supermarket. Maybe Kenny Lalsing can take the chains of supermarket in the three facilities. Uh, you have a doctor's office. You have, medical centers can be built in them. So it's going to be commerce right through
yeah,
24 hours. There's no sleeping time. Grenada needs to move to that level. You understand me? That's where we're going to grow. But you cannot build these white elephants and expect it's going to maintain. I see the Chinese have to come and fix the cricket stadium. Grenada got a gift, and we should have built asked for a gift that we can
well,
self-maintain.
in terms of,
I mean,
I think there was an agreement in terms of the maintenance over a period of time. So they maintaining that part of the agreement in terms of the maintenance. At some point in time, Grenadians will have to,
right, and then
continue
it
with the
should be
maintenance.
right,
Yeah.
and it should be designed
Mhm.
that when I rent the restaurant out, not the restaurant or the supermarket space or the doctor's office or the daycare center, whatever I rent, all the stores I rent, because you've gone to see basketball in the United States. There everything in those facilities. You
Mhm,
understand me?
mhm.
So
Yeah.
that and that
Concessionaries
pays,
and things like
that
that. Yeah.
pays the bill. Yeah, that pays the
Mhm,
bill. So we have to build understanding that we need to maintain. So we put things that would give us the strength and the ability to maintain. That's what I would say for the indoor facility. So we can do, people can come in and say, okay, invest in these facilities. And people make their money, because a lot of money going to be made. You know, and you see what happened if one NBA team decide that they're going to have their summer program in Grenada. Media houses is coming. You are now coming down, Michael, because you want to see, you want to, and you understand.
No, I'm coming home. I'm coming home to relax, man.
No, they're traveling with family. They're traveling with friends. Everything. They don't have enough hotel room now.
No, but on a serious note, I understand that point there, and the point that Kyron is making, for example, because I see that on like, for example, yesterday, a dance team traveling out of New Orleans to a dance competition somewhere, and then there's some national cheerleading competition that's taking place in Florida. So these girls are traveling from all over the United States and going there. And the amount of family members that are traveling with them.
Yes.
Likewise, basketball, for example, on a weekend, for example, in particular, when the teams are traveling for their basketball tournament, you have a mother, probably the parents traveling, they might have with them brother or sister, they are traveling with them, and they are going and staying in hotels. The colleges are not paying for that. The parents themselves are paying for that.
Yes.
So that's money that's being generated. And the point being made, if, for example, Indiana State University decides, let's say we go into Grenada to see where Emil's from, and meet his family, and he's getting into his community, and play some hoops with some of the guys in Grenada, and say, the family will be traveling with them, they will be staying in hotels and all sorts of things. That's transportation. So many things will be generated,
They wouldn't only want, by the way, they wouldn't only want to go to games. They want to see Grenada's, the nature.
Right.
They go
That's
to
what I'm saying. They will be told.
And everything like that.
Yes. Thank you very much, Jeremy Phillip, because somehow I forgot Melville Street. And he's telling Melville Street basketball court. I grew up playing basketball, but I did not start off with basketball after making the national football team in the 80s. Right after I picked up basketball, I did not look back. Sorry, thank you very much, Jeremy, because I mentioned about the Carnage and Grenada. Melville Street was one of the others, where basketball tournaments, for example. Melville Street, by the way, was in the area of the old police station.
The Redhead Brothers.
Right, the Redhead Brothers, the late flyer Redhead, and all of them. The back street, as we would say, right? And the police barracks area, the band house area for some of the folks who don't know, and things like that. That used to be a lot of competitions. So you had Melville Street, you had the Carnage, and you had the Grandance area in particular, right? Because the Melville Street used to be the people like the Tiggets and all these folks, right? The Carnage will be the guys from the wharf and surrounding areas in particular, even though some of them used to come over from the town area. And Melville Street even used to get in some of the guys from River Road, for example. Then River Road had its court, and things like that. So
even Jericho was a Melville Street.
Melville Street, yeah. Melville Street, yeah. From the Melville Street era. And by the way, at those areas, the national team, they pull players from all these areas. Melville Street, you had guys from guys from Grenville, for example. You had some talented basketballers from Grenville, right? You had guys from Guelph, because when you talk about Marquez and all these guys, and then you had from the Victoria, Hess Charles, for example. By the way, we had Ulrich Schoon, very talented. Grenada, when you look back at basketball and some of the past players and the success of the Grenada team, it can be equated to an extent to probably football, to an extent, because we had some very talented basketball players back then.
If we go in there, we have to talk of people like Boboy.
But
who played national football
football,
and
And
basketball.
basketball.
The
I was
same
in
thing with
Dallas,
Tigges Bernard.
Tigges
He
Bernard.
played national football and national basketball. So we had the people, they were playing, they were sports oriented. Jale and all of these guys. May his
Um,
soul rest in peace.
Kenroy John, Lincoln Walker is talking about Kenroy
Oh
John,
yes, oh
right?
yes. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Kenroy is one of the players that I admire. I remember I was head coach in Grenada at that time. We went to Trinidad. We went to Trinidad for some practice game. Man, Trinidad beat Grenada so bad, but we kept it secret. But we were getting ready to go to the Windward Island Basketball Championship in St. Vincent. And when I saw Kenroy John, from the time we came back, Kenroy couldn't dunk, but Kenroy was able to dunk before he left Grenada. You understand? I mean, I was so impressed. I couldn't even believe. I could not have believed. And Kenroy John, that person, really brought a spark back into me. Brendan
Yeah.
Bain, Brian
Yes,
Pemberton, Pickin, One Bolt, these guys, Jackson, yes,
Johnny Jackson,
Johnny. I remember
Billiard.
I was a head coach in St. Kitts. We went to St. Kitts to play a basketball there, and Johnny damaged his ankle. And I said, Lord have mercy, because that is my slasher. That is the player that I get things out of. I spend the night, the day, Justin Hazard could tell you, massaging Johnny foot from red to back to normal, swollen back to normal, band tight, and boy, that was Justin used to call it a miracle. You understand? Because we wanted to see our athletes work, perform the best. I don't know how to feel to lose. Over the years, I don't know how to lose. It doesn't residue in my mind.
But,
Losing is not part of my culture. I like to
but you
win, and
lost
I like
last
the
night, right? But your team lost
that.
last night,
You
right?
know that was a gift. I'll give you a joke about that. That team never beat us. That team never beat us in there. So they
Mm.
got a gift to encourage them to continue. But it's all
All
right. We're
right,
coming back.
that's right. Lincoln was giving me some names there. He was producing some names. He said Garnett,
Ragat, yes.
you know.
Got you.
Okay, so
Oh,
Garnett,
yes.
right? Yes,
That guy, he just showed
Garnett.
Garnett. That guy was the first Kobe Bryant to Grenada.
Oh,
Before
really?
Kobe came on the scene, that guy was doing things what Kobe Bryant was doing on the same backstreet court. That kid
Mhm.
he was full of talent, but he went to the United States and I didn't know what happened to
And
him again.
and Billiard, right?
Bilal
Yeah,
McIntyre
Billiard
is
McIntyre.
Bilal
Yeah.
is a little cousin of mine who was coached by German Mackey. And that was a rival. But he's good. Bilal might have been one after Cyril Cox going into the NBA. But, Cyril would have made it to the NBA, but his knee stopped him.
Mhm.
Cyril played with people like James Woody and those guys. And yeah, well, Police and them were the long beginning days.
Yeah, they were the days in that's the redhead and
They were
those
the
guys. Yeah,
founders. Yeah,
yeah,
they were the
um,
founders of that. But
yeah.
all in all, I
Um,
like the history. I like the
mhm.
history. But what I don't like is what is happening now.
Happening. Yeah, but
And
that's what
I'm
we said we have to correct.
right. I am ready. I'm ready to give all the assistance I can give now. Yes, I know Bilal went pro to Greece. We have a lot of guys now in pro basketball all over the place. We do have some good basketballers. But I want us to. We are asking our friends overseas because we are not privy to have everything we want here. If you can help us, and you can do it through the foundation, like Kyron Baptiste Foundation. We are ready to work with the GMBA, whoever is there, or if the GMBA is going to change the positions, we are ready to work with everybody to make sure that basketball re-enter our community the way it was 20, 30 years ago.
All right.
Yeah.
Edwin Sam is saying, boys, we're going back. We're going way back here. Back in the 70s, I was the treasurer of the GBA. That would have been the Basketball Association. When Saturday night on Bat Street was the place to go. We had guys like Gordon Redhead, John Redhead, Ian Flyers Redhead, Bob Hope, and Brian Brim Lewis, among others. Um, you know, yeah. And has anyone reached out to Nigel Byam? So we have Nigel Nigel is still in Grenada? Is Nigel still in Grenada?
Nigel is going back and forth.
Okay.
He's helping GBSS with their program. Myself and Nigel had a little thing going, and then he went back to, I think he went back to coach in a school in the US, and so forth. But he comes every year. He hosts a little championship. He hosts a nice little thing. Freddie, it does the same thing, you
Mhm.
know, and yeah, we had, when it comes to the whole management, we need to just put a system in place and get a group of people who's ready to take basketball forward. That's
Mhm.
all it is. And as I said earlier on, I am ready. I am ready to give all the assistance I can give now while I have strength, you know.
Mhm.
But
So you say you're ready to give the assistance, meaning that at what level are you ready? Coaching, administrative? I mean, what it is you're ready to.
well, I have to do dual because I can coach
Mhm.
and I have
But what
experience
do
in.
you want to focus on? What would you want to focus on? I
Well, I
mean,
just want
looking at
I
it now, what you think
I
is the
want us to
area that you
implement.
think will need the
I want us,
attention?
yeah, I want us to do the implementation, putting a system in place, which I already have a template that we
Mhm.
can, if we want to enhance it, let's enhance it, let's get ideas into it, and we can now throw it out to government. Government, this is what we think basketball need at this point in time. We are the technocrats, we know that. And how can you help us implement it? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Mhm. Question to you: do we have a FIBA referee still active? Do we have FIBA referees still active in Grenada?
Well, under my tenure, I got one guy certified. That's Ryan Mitchell, and he still coaches. He's still referee around. Yes, but we have people like Calvin Bell and a number of other athletes, another other referees. They're doing their best, but they need the support. I think Tyrone Francis, again, I want to mention his name because he has now taken the referees and the table officials and have formed themselves in a committee, and they are taking care. They are hired to go out and referee games in every championship and everything like that. So Tyrone Francis is a good guy that we need to keep close because he take the initiative to do things like that. You know,
Mhm.
uh,
All right.
um, yeah. So we
Um,
have people who can do the job.
Jerry is making a comment here. Jerry says, Paul, you can recall that one of my contacts who lives in Canada, an immigration lawyer with an impressive network and contacts, initiated developing a proposal for private public funding of an Indo facility. She visited Grenada a number of times on business and could not get to meet with the Minister of Sports. This occurred during 21 and 23. Now, um, I can, you know, concur with that. Why? Because I recall that putting the person in contact with Jerry,
Oh well,
right?
okay.
Yeah,
I
and
could
Jerry,
also
well, yeah, because the person who reached out to me put them in contact with Jerry, and Jerry took it from there. And I know, you know, she told me that she was in contact with him back and forth. But he's saying now, here it is that she put something together because I assume he would have told her, what to do, right? And he, and I mean, all that he's saying there, I know I can, you know, vouch for
okay.
that, right?
Yeah, well,
And
Michael.
she visited Grenada a number of times on business and could not get to meet. That
Yeah,
was during 21, 23. Yeah,
right.
go ahead.
I met with a lady myself, and we had a lot of conversation too because Jerry put her, made the contact between both of us. Jerry
Mhm,
did that, and as I said, there are people who are not executive who can work. Jerry, I like working with him, to be honest. Um, so I met her, and then we were talking, and then she got sick. And then she told me she had to take a little calm down, because she got a little sick. But we have to come back and talk. And that's why I want to meet with minister first. And when I meet with the minister and I throw out
mhm,
all of that, then we can all have everybody coming into the mix so
mhm,
that her contribution, and minister would understand, minister would have a better understanding of what sports development is about, the modern approach. Because I imagine what she's having now is not very modern, the approaches.
Yeah, but so in terms of that, because I know she was very passionate about it, right? And
Yes.
right away, it was during a program, and right after the program, contacted. I said, hey, no, I can. No, I think Jerry might have been on the program at that time, and she put her in contact with Jerry. And I know she said, thanks, Michael. We are having a conversation. I plan to go to Grenada. Now I'm hearing now that she visited Grenada a couple of times. And plans, whatever it is. I believe she may be based in Montreal, if I'm not mistaken, right? Montreal, yeah, and things like that. So, right? I'm disappointed to hear that. Yeah, that even during her visit, that she could not have get a meeting to discuss that. And a proposal with a private-public partnership, which means that, you know, the
Yeah.
involvement, I'm hoping that something can work out. Jerry added that FIBA allows one certified referee based on population size. Okay, so that is understandable. In terms of population size, one certified, but you can have other officials, but in terms of certified referee, and I guess as much based on, you know, the
Yeah.
size of Grenada. Thanks very much.
But, but
Paul,
Mike, but
so
Michael,
I'm hoping that, you folks can come together. We need folks to be talking about the development of the sport. Listen, I always say when it comes to the personal things, personality and things, we have to put that aside, right? From time to time, we may have personal issues with folks. We differ on
many,
opinions, on yeah,
yes,
and things like that. But we can. That should not stop us from
moving
doing
forward.
what we have to do if we say we want to develop the sport, right? And I'm
Yeah.
hoping going forward, the folks like you and Jerry and others can really come together and say, hey, folks, listen, we need to do something for basketball and we need to start to talk together. The approach should be similarly in terms of what we want to achieve, etc. Yes, we want the indoor facility, which will do marvelous, not just for basketball, but for all the other sports, as we say, netball, etc., etc. But at the same time, we want to bring back that spirit, that you know grassroots programs, as we say, whether it's at I would love to see you know the primary schools, a primary school championship. The guys at the primary school level playing basketball, into a program, first of all, and playing basketball. By the time they get into the secondary school, the high school, they should understand the fundamentals of basketball, and especially what you're seeing in terms of secondary school basketball. No, we're not there at that level yet. Even though we have seen some great talents, because outside of that, guys will they have the knack to develop, and things like just like athletes. You get two or three athletes above the rest. That is the hope that we will get there.
Yes,
Hazel says, good afternoon, Hazel. Hazel, remember I'm in your state, Louisiana, right? She said early exposure is so important,
exactly.
very much, and in every and any sport.
Every discipline.
Yeah, it's
And
very
Michael,
very
if we added, let us wish Hazel a happy birthday. It is her birthday today, so
Oh,
happy birthday again,
really?
Hazel.
But
Well,
Hazeln,
Hazel,
Yes.
I guess.
Hazeln, Hazeln is a February born like me, so that is good. Tomorrow is German and Naka birthday the day after. Naka and German is also February born.
Oh,
So let's
really?
tell them happy birthday too.
Well, a lot
I
of
am down. I am done with Sir Eric Matrugeri. I'm in that area down there. But
well, so a lot of our sporting heroes, I should say, they are in the month of February. It appears. Okay, so it will be a very busy month for us, Rudian. Wishing happy birthday, belated or otherwise. Oh, she says the best month ever. Yeah, you start something there. No,
oh,
I
she's
don't
quite
know.
right. That is a fact. It's the only true month, and it's the best month.
Yeah,
You
who
know,
knows?
over the years, being a part in sports in elementary school and high school here in Toronto, um, I've seen it as an engine um, for sports and for development of the youths in this part of the world where I'm at. And we have seen how the youths and the situation with them out here is different from being back home. The crime and the drugs and all the stuff that the young people get involved in. We've seen a change come now, and the one sport that changed that is basketball. As the one sport that truly changed that. And when you see you have some big tournaments, and we are fortunately out here that we could get some sponsor. But we have this. We don't get me wrong. There's issues here and there's problems here as well. But watching from the elementary school, the only thing they don't have out here is cricket. They play every sport. They play absolutely every sport, and they play in my girls end up just playing indoor soccer on a junior level with their school. So sports is something that they also see as something that keep the kids together, their mind together, keep them away from even the
But
trouble, and keep them away of certain things. So
yeah,
and like I saying that they have the issue here as well. So don't think because it's big Canada they have money. No, they have their problems. They have the same issues, right? But the talent that we have, not only in Grenada but in the Caribbean, is far beyond the talent for a lot of these kids and them here in Toronto.
yeah, it's just the
And like I
opportunity.
said, it's just opportunity. Like I come back again and saying that we need to have people with the mindset of some of the sports to be running it and have a vision for the sport to see that. Because like I said, they out here doing it. Sometimes they just go and play. They don't get nothing. They just play. There's nothing to it. There is no T-shirt or medals or there's nothing. It's just playing the sport.
Yeah,
The
well,
kids are so
it's a
happy to
passion.
leave school.
It's
The
a
kids, they're
passion.
so happy. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's nothing in it. They play. They have junior volleyball. They have senior volleyball in elementary school. They have the same thing in soccer. The same thing in basketball. We have junior and senior in soccer. You have track and field. You have cross country. They have all of that. They have everything. They have flag football. So much stuff they're doing.
well, the
But
thing about it with terms of basketball to an extent, for example, I can say when they build a hard court in River Road, for example, and the guys started moving from the blocks, as we'll say, or the bridge, to the basketball court. And so those who are not playing football probably playing basketball.
basketball,
So
yeah,
they move away from the
The
lineman on the
line.
bridge,
on the
right?
bridge,
And
yeah.
as you say, and they started playing basketball. Then when they lighted the courts now, there was a period where the guys, because what happened before was, hey, after 6 o'clock, we go and relax,
Yeah,
we continue. But when the
go back
lights were
again.
there now, we know they would stay until 8 or 9 or whatever, and then they will go directly home.
They're
You
tired,
know?
so they're
Yeah,
ready to go home.
yeah. So they go home.
Yes,
These other things.
and
And I'm talking about right.
I think that is one of the idea that Prime Minister Mitchell is really pushing because he wants to get our young men and women back into what you call positive activities. I know they're painting courts, they're spending a lot of money on putting new backboards, new rings, and everything like that on facilities right around. Yeah. And their objective is to just continue to come with positive. I know they're doing the same thing for cricket in St. David's. And there are lots of things that is going to try to get the youths back on track in a positive way. And we want to do the same. But at the same time, we want to cut or snap that in the early birth in primary schools with the program basketball, where we
Right.
could now get the kids to start focusing on basketball at an early age. Listen, I remember vividly a young guy. You know how old I am now? Eh? I'm older than both of you, right? And I can still go down in the basketball position very comfortable. I am coaching guys now at age 16 and to bend their bodies. It's difficult, extremely difficult, because their body has already taken the shape of standing up. You understand? Liming and not getting into sports position, in the down position. And I just want, before we go, I just
Mhm.
want to be a little selfish here. Now, I started to coach at age 17. I started to coach at that. And I'm still coaching. And one of the things, you're looking for people. I want people now to replace me because I'm getting old. You understand? And it's so difficult to find them. It's so difficult. I know what it is because I bought a bus. I bought a bus, and that bus is to ensure that when I finish coach the people, children, in the night, because you have to work and then you have to come and coach. It's not a full-time job. So I bought a bus where I know at the end of my training at every night, I make sure I drop the people, children home safely so that we could encourage players and parents. Parents can now have the confidence that their kids are in some way safe and they could get back home even though it's late in the evening, but get back home safely. So these are the things I am doing, and I'm doing that now over 40 years, buying all uniforms, doing all sorts of things. I'm not asking others to do that. What I'm asking every one of us to do is help us to be able to meet the needs of these young women and men so that they can become something like our Kirani James, like our Junior Murray, our Cyril Cox, our Enelson Bernard, and call the names that have excelled in the sporting arena. That's what we want to do. I didn't get it. And I remember when I went to GBSS, I was a top sprinter. I don't know if you remember that, Mike. But at the end of school, there was nothing after that. So I went into basketball. And and here I am still
Yeah.
pushing to make sure people get the best. And
Yeah.
Jerry, and before
Um,
you go, Mike, Jerry, I want to say I could work very well with Jerry. We've been working. We have a young talent in St. Patrick's that we're going to start work on so that he can be one of the recipients for the Pinola College scholarship later this year.
all right. Thank you very much. Um, uh, Pablo, you got it. We respect you always. From Lincoln. Thank you, Lincoln. And thank you to all those who made this program possible. Kyron and Jeremy Phillip, thanks for your insights as well. Jerry Sincere, I want to thank you as well. Clev and Edwin. Edwin, yes, thanks, thanks for that nostalgic posting there about back in the 70s. Certainly, quite a bit there. And I mean, we called some names there. I know, remember Brim Lewis. We had the late Bob Hope, and even the late Ian Flyers Redhead as well, the Redhead brothers, and all those who give a little some insights into what's been happening in terms of basketball. Our hope is that at least we have been able to cover quite a bit. Nigel, thank you very much, Nigel. So Nigel was actually on listening. Nigel Bayam, we're speaking about.
Hi,
Great
Nigel.
stuff, guys. Nigel, thank you very much. Yes, Nigel, I mean, he's just everything into basketball. I don't know. He eats, sleep, everything is about basketball. That's great. That's the sort of people we have to get involved, hands on, assisting, you know. And we have people like we have Wilbur and quite a few, Freddie, Brendan Bain, and all these folks who are you know involved in basketball some way or the other. We have Kyron, for example, who has a lot of contacts at the colleges and all of that. That's the sort of conversation we need to be having. That's the sort of people we need to be, keeping in the circle in terms of the development of the sport. Because we have even I mean, the Johnny Jackson and all these guys. I am certain these guys who have gone to the colleges and things like that. So, McIntyre, Millard McIntyre, and all these folks. We have quite an array of guys. I know Naka gave me a list some years ago of a host of guys who have gone to colleges and things. Basketball scholarships, by the way. Now, once upon a time, guys were getting scholarships for
Yeah.
basketball more than probably track and field and football. Ask me now about that, and it's just few. We have to get back to that stage, and I'm hoping, Paul, with all your insights and the comments you made today and things like that. So I'm hoping that there could be a new beginning for basketball in Grenada. Great convo, guys. Sorry I was late. Thanks, though. But your input was well respected. Support the NB brand. Hey, Edwin. Yes. Thanks very much. Thank you very much, Pablo. And nice having you. And I hope
Yep.
probably in you're no longer a stranger to our program. You probably be back with us sometime again to give us an update and some more information in terms of your initiatives and probably post conversation with the minister regarding basketball.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll be happy to. I'll be
yeah,
happy to once again to share after I meet with Minister, so that we
yeah.
can talk basketball in particular, and
Mhm.
we get back so we know that we're all working together to make this happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter me if I am at the helm. What is most important is for us to develop the sports for our young talents on the island.
All right.
I want
Appreciate.
to I want to take this opportunity also to seek as much support we can get. With it don't have to be cash. It can
Mhm.
be things like balls, cones, things for coaching,
Mhm.
to help the local coaches develop and everything like that, so that we can build. When we go to a school for a pilot project, we can now say we have 20 balls for this school. We have cones, and this coach, this is your board. We're going to help you and everything. We're going to give you as much as we can give to enhance and develop the sport basketball.
All right then. Thank you very much, Pablo. All the
Yeah.
best. I
Thanks
appreciate
again.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay then. All right then. Thank you very much. That's Paul McIntyre from in St. George's, Grenada, giving us lots of insights. Rudian. So as we wrap up,
Yeah,
your
certainly, certainly.
your
No,
summary.
it was very good. It's good to get information, and as we've been saying for the longest while, basketball do need the help or the support. But there have been a lot of basketball taking place. Even though he's not on the the higher level of the
Mhm.
Ministry of Sport of basketball, but it is basketball is playing, but not to the level where it used to be. So we're
Mhm.
hoping that we could bring it there and better. And there's a lot of
Mhm.
talent in Grenada for basketball. There's a lot of young talent. Um, it's good to see basketball is playing, especially in girls, and it's not to the level that we want to see it. Well, basketball is playing, in spite of it all. Basketball is playing, and it's good to start
Obviously.
getting, yeah, it's like, again, you got to have the interest in it. Having coaches, get some sort of, coaching education in the sport so that they can be better coaches, and just start pushing basketball. That's what it is. And not only basketball, that goes for all the other sport too, right? So, but certainly,
Well,
we are speaking about
our
basketball
focus
today.
this weekend was on
We're speaking about
basketball, but
basketball. Yeah, we're speaking about basketball today, and surely, and we hear the frustration, from what he has put in plan and what he has laid down over the years, and then it just come to naught, and that certainly could be frustrated. Certainly things that we don't like to hear. And we hear a lot of stories, and many people have stories of ideas they have, and this they put forward, and this they talk to, and they say yes, and in the end, nothing happened. And
yeah,
years after years, and you see people start changing and changing, and the same thing. It's like a cycle, like a cycle.
yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah,
I want to thank you very much, Rudian. Thank you, Paul
certainly it's always a
McIntyre, as well.
pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, then. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Have a good one. Yeah.
I same to you. So that's Rudian Sylvan in Toronto, Canada. We had Paul McIntyre in Grenada, giving us insights as a former, administrator. Well, he's still a coach, former player himself. About basketball, the state of basketball, discussion of the state of basketball in Grenada. Hopefully, we can see a revival in terms of the administration of basketball in particular. It's not the only problem. We want to see programs as well. Thank you very much, folks. As I indicated, um, we're not certain because it's Super Bowl weekend coming up, and based on schedule, we may not have a program. That's left to be seen. Okay, we'll let you know during the week. But whatever is happening, continue to support our sportsmen and sportswomen. They deserve the support as per usual. And please, whatever it is you're doing, please do it with some level of moderation. Looking forward, as I always say, to your continued support in sports. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend.